I think we're ready here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're glad you're all here tonight on this. Isn't it nice not to have our air conditioners on and the windows open? I love it, huh? I hope that you're taking advantage of the fresh air. Some folks will be going over to the concert tonight, and that's great. I hope you can do that. There are 2 left if you look on the board. Tomorrow night, the Panhandler Steel Drum Band. So if you like steel drum bands, tomorrow night you better head on over to Centennial Lakes Park. And then on Wednesday night, a small band, a new and upcoming guitarist. And so that's the last 2 concerts and the nights of the year. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. It's been a good summer over there. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, where did it go? That's for sure. Well, we're going to welcome you all tonight. If you're new in our community, once a month we try, as a board, we try to just bring some updates that things are going on and help you, and let you introduce or know some new people here, and just say thank you to a number of people and just touch on some issues. So the first thing I'm going to do tonight is ask our Vice President, Linda Connolly, to do the introduction of a new board member, or a new member in the community. And we are glad she is here. So, Linda, will you come up? And I have a mic here.
Thank you. You don't have to beat it. She'll turn it on for us.
I think she's got her. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Oh my gosh, the room is just about full. Thanks for being here. Some of you may have read about this newer resident in the last month, I think it was, newsletter. But this way you get a chance to see her in person instead of just looking at her picture in the newsletter. Teresa, will you come up, please? So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Teresa Residlo, right? Perfect. Okay. So we just have a couple of questions for you to introduce you personally to the membership. And one is, where did you live before you came to 7500 York?
Okay. Well, the last 4 years I lived in Portland, Oregon with my sister. But this is home. I lived in Edina for 30 years, and then in West Central Minnesota for 25 years. Okay. Minnesota is home.
Thank you for that. So can you tell us a little bit about your family and what you may have done for a work life? You don't have to make it long, just a little something to let us know a little more about you.
Okay. I have a son. That is a librarian at Harvard. I'm an old librarian. I was the geology librarian at the University of Wyoming. And I married one of the professors, and we had a son, and he's a librarian now. And I also, when we moved to Minnesota, was on the Viking Library System Board for West Central Minnesota, on the Otter Tail County Historical Board, and I worked for St. Paul Chamber Orchestra from 97 to 99. So I farmed for a long time. I loved sheep. I was raising sheep for hand spinning wool, so I'm a spinner and weaver too.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. So what brings you, okay, last question. She's ready to sit down, right? No, not yet. One more question. So what brings you to 7500 in this wonderful community that we share?
Okay. All right. Well, I needed to find a place to be. I have glaucoma. I don't drive. I can't see very well anymore. And I wanted a community like this is. And so I knew somebody who used to live here. So I already knew about it. And it was the perfect place for me.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Teresa. I think I also know that you are serving on the Music and Arts Committee, right? Yeah, so she's already quite involved. Oh, on the Ad hoc Art Committee as well. So she's already very involved. One more round of applause for Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, we'll use that here. Thank you so much, Linda. Just want to say thanks to my colleague Linda and to the rest of my colleagues on the board, especially to Linda, our vice president. Julie and I were gone a couple weeks doing a little traveling, and she admirably filled in for me, did all kinds of great stuff, so I appreciate that. It's just been very helpful, so thank you so much. I want to do some shout-outs quick for what's going on here this last week as I went around the community and kept track of things yesterday morning. Thanks to the Fun and Games folks for their outdoor games. How many of you got outside and played games yesterday morning? I hope some of you were able to. It was a little nippy out there yesterday morning. I hope you got out there. And the bingo night on Friday. How many of you are bingo players in here? We got a crowd. I love that, you know. And today, the Food Service Committee, thank you for lining up the truck for the food service truck that was out on the parking lot. Part of that could be. Did some of you participate in the? Was the food good? Yes. Excellent. Very good. A thanks to our friends next door at York Gardens for the combined ice cream social we did last week with York Gardens, and that's really, I think, it gives us a sign of how we work together and use resources that the two communities have that we can share with one another. The tents we used for the garden event is also the stuff they used for the ice cream social. We're able to use that from Ebenezer Corporate and some of the things that are lined up. I just wanted to say, and also, by the way, we're using some needed parking spaces over there when we get in a pinch or when we have some problems. We're able to use those spaces. They allow us to do that. We share the bus with them, and our bus needs a little work, or their bus needs some work. There's been good cooperation between families and community, where one of our members has a spouse who's living over there and they're living here. I just want to say I just appreciate the good relationships that we continue to build with our friends next door. That business is owned and managed by our management company, by Ebenezer. We own this community, and it's managed by Ebenezer as well. Also this week, one of the highlights of the summer, and I wanted to be sure to thank the organizers of the garden party and tour. So Mary and Rosemary and Sandy, the three of you come on up here, and I want you to come by and remember when you talk. Now, just a minute, you're stealing my thunder. Come on over here, right, get behind the podium here. So one of you hang on to that for a second. First of all, I want to say I went out and was at both ends of the garden, both east and west side. It's been just a great year, hasn't it, for just the whole community. But I want us to thank these three women and the work that their teams did to make that an event, really a great event. So let's give them our thanks and our applause. We appreciate it. So then I said, why don't the three of you come up, and then I'm going to have a little quiz for them so we can learn something about the garden. That's one of the longest running community events in the co-op. They've been gardens here forever and ever from the very beginning of the cooperative. So I asked, here was the question. All right. How many garden plots do we have?
Well, I was surprised when I actually added them up, but we do have 120 on the East Gardens and 34 on the West Gardens.
Hey, that's great.
So,
that's a lot of garden plots.
that is, and they vary in size.
And
Some
they
of them
vary-
are
yeah.
quite small, but some of them are,
Yep.
6 by 8, and
All right, so this is not, everybody can take turns answering, or if you want. Okay, so the question is, how many gardeners do we have this year? Do we know that?
well, I added that up also.
Oh, very good.
And we have about 65 that are their name is on a specific plot. But a lot of these people are also being helped and enjoy having their spouse work with them. So I would say we have about 80.
Very good, very good. All right, Rosemary, you get the next question.
Well, she was actually the mastermind of the party we had. So
Well,
she gets the credit. and
she is a
Sandy-
party gal, I'll tell you, that lady.
Sandy worked with her, but
And did a great job, of course, on the Christmas tea last year, as well as. So she's got experience. How come you think the conditions were so good this year out in the gardens? What's going on out there?
Well, I think weather had a whole lot to do with it. We had substantial rain and nice warm weather, but we also had a lot of gardeners who really paid attention. And I think when they knew that we were having an outdoor garden fair, this was a first, we've never done that before, that they were more meticulous about taking care of the gardens. But I can't give enough credit to all the help that I had. It might have been my idea, but Sandy was my right-hand person. Julie was a great help. Kara, we couldn't have done without her, making wonderful posters, and sometimes we take her for granted, and we shouldn't. She's a wonderful asset.
Okay, Sandy, I'm giving you this question now. All right. So, what was the best flower and vegetables this year? What did the gardeners find that really grew well? What do you think?
Well, I'd say we had an abundance of zinnias for sure, but they were beautiful. I mean, so colorful. They added a lot to the garden, especially for the tour. Brightened up everything. As far as vegetables go, we got beautiful tomatoes and beautiful squash. Saw that climbing all over the place, couldn't stay in bounds. So, but really everything did well. I'm picking beans like crazy and
good.
tomatoes
Very
like
good.
crazy. So I know everything's doing really well.
And by the way, these ladies will tell you, if you have extra things out of your garden you can't use, be sure to put them
Right.
where? In the
Put
share,
'em in the
where are the share
barrels.
boxes?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well, I know there's one on the east side because I see that all the time down on the first floor.
So 1 by 6.
Okay, so by 1 and 6.
Okay. So if you got extra stuff to share, please do that. Okay, Mary, this next one's for you. What were the gardeners' biggest challenges this year? What was that? What challenges did you face and overcome?
Well, unfortunately, the chiggers are still with us.
Yeah, chiggers are nasty.
And they are nasty little critters. And I don't know the total history of this, but I assume they've been here about 6 years. More? Something like that. And they are, for most of us, they're tolerable. But you have to suit up and
Yes, you do.
keep your socks on the outside of your pants and use your DEET. So it makes it not quite as fun and easy to go out in the garden, but
But I've slipped out.
yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
Very good. We got tough gardeners, right?
Right.
They can make it
And it
happen.
sounds like there isn't anything, excuse me, anything anybody has researched that works to get them out of
that's what
there.
we
I'm
hear.
hearing more and more comments about other gardens in the area that have them, so.
So, as you start to think about next year, and maybe even beyond, what do we got to think about? What do we got to dream about? What's exciting for as we look forward?
Well, I think we all agree it would be nice if we had a few more gardeners, a few more people interested. We do have 3 or 4 open plots right now, and I know of a few people that don't plan to garden again next year. So I think, as with some of our other committees and groups, we need to encourage our new members and others just to join us.
Okay. Well, ladies, yeah, go ahead, Rosemary. What do you got? What do you think?
No, I was just going to say, I hope that the garden fair has enticed people who saw the gardens for the first time to maybe step up and say, I really want to be part of that too.
I did hear some people with
Yeah.
that comment.
Very good. Very good. Anything else you want to share with us?
Enjoy the garden.
Enjoy the gardens. Let's give them a hand, everybody. Thank you so much, ladies. We appreciate that. And wouldn't you know it, this afternoon I was on looking online and found that's your pen. There you go. Found a piece from Martha Stewart, the fashion setter, ex-convict. She's an interesting lady, quite an interesting gal. Anyway, she had written in her piece, advice to secure yourself a life of happiness, go outside and grow a garden. Now, the next piece in that article, I don't know if it was attributed to Martha Stewart, but I liked it. If you want to be happy for a year, get married. If you want to be happy for a decade, get a dog. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, make a garden. I love that. That was really great. But it is. It's just terrific. And like I say, it's one of the longest running things that has happened in our community's history. And it's got some of the biggest, 70, 80 people. I mean, that's one of the biggest interest groups we've got. So a word of thanks to those folks as well. Gracious living, and I just want to remind all you new folks to make sure you have your copy of the member's guide. Just make sure you're poking around and keep it handy, look at some stuff. I just want to relay an incident that happened to me the other day, and this might have happened to you. A member who will not be named. My wife headed out to deliver some things around the community and head out to her garden plot, and I said, well, I'll see you after a while. So I'm in our smaller bedroom where my office is, and I'm working away on a computer, and I heard the door slam and come back, and I thought, oh, gosh, she's back all of a sudden. And I came out around the corner. I just stopped because here was someone that really shouldn't have been in my apartment. And I thought to myself, geez, I'm glad I wasn't coming out of the shower. I'd have looked really dorky coming around on it. So I thought quickly, what am I going to do? Am I going to yell at somebody? Or am I going to figure out how to be gracious and redirect? And with a little conversation, we did a little redirection, and it turned out just fine. But it's a reminder. I think in this book, and if it isn't in this book, it should be in your DNA in the back of your head. Keep your apartment locked when you're at home. Keep your apartment locked when you go away. And we could prevent anybody who doesn't belong in your apartment out of your apartment. So that's just a good thought that maybe we should pay attention to, okay? A follow-up from last month. We had some real interesting conversations about the front page of our co-op's newsletter a month ago with a quote-unquote article or picture of a political picture. And so we had some people get concerned about that, rightly so. We had some people, both sides of the aisle were talking about that, and we had the great discussion. So I said to the members who were concerned about that we would, as a board, we would follow up and talk to our friends at the newsletter. And so we did that. And I want to read some of the stuff that I had sent to them in a memo. The executive committee met with the editor and with the newsletter subcommittee chair and with the chairperson of RAC, and we had a great conversation. Just said, how do we recover? How do we think through when we have a problem like this? Let's do some serious thinking about this, because this is the kind of stuff we have to be careful about. One of the things that the chair of the subcommittee said is, this, as our subcommittee, we can't decide. We either want the board to tell us to have nothing in the newspaper about politics, or let us do whatever we want about politics. And so I said I would take that to the board. Well, here's interesting. The board couldn't make its mind up either. So here's the memo that we wrote. I looked to my colleagues here in the front row to help me put together some memos. And I sent this to the folks at the newsletter subcommittee. On Wednesday of this past week, during the July meeting of 7500's Board of Directors, the board discussed at length the issue of political content in the New York Times. We took seriously the written and oral concerns of some of our members. We reviewed the current newsletter policy 6.1, and we reviewed the conversation the executive committee held with the three leaders of the newspaper area. However, the board did not reach a clear consensus or specific direction for the newsletter committee as was requested. They were hoping we'd make the call, and we said, we're not sure we can make the call about what should stay and what should go. But this was the key paragraph. We do, however, believe that our existing newsletter policy continues to offer sufficient guidance. As you know, Policy 6.1 states, the newsletter will not publish words, images, phrases, or content deemed by the newsletter committee to be potentially offensive or divisive. We trust that the newsletter committee will join with the board to assure our members that this and other provisions of the current newsletter policy will be at the center of your editorial discernment in the future issues of the New York Times. The board recognizes the challenge you face by making judgments regarding content in the environment we live in today, and we commend your dedication to publishing an excellent newsletter for the 7500 York community. Thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. I received, that was a pretty good statement, I thought. I received this from the editor of the York Times. The committee considered, and they appreciated getting our guidance, and they wrote, the newsletter committee hereby supports and endorses the application of newsletter policy 6.1 as referenced in the Board of Directors July 2025 statement and pledges to continue upholding the principles of respectful, inclusive, and balanced editorial content in the New York Times. So you also noticed in this last issue of the Times that our newsletter editor has resigned and that we're in search of someone. I got to tell you, first of all, I want to thank Bob. Bob Reed, are you here? Bob came here, raised the bar on our newsletter. Did a great job. John came and continues to raise the bar. That's how it happens around here. Somebody comes and they have better ideas or good ideas or new ideas. The next person that will come after me will do a better job being president and all that kind of stuff. But we continue to sometimes push the bar where it gets really complicated. So now I notice there's a search going on. That will be an important search, and we'll have to see. It's going to be like we do with everything else. If we don't have competent people to step up to the plate, then we set aside things that go on here, whether it's the excursion subcommittee of RAC or whether it's the newsletter. We have to have people step up and be willing to work hard and to do competent work for the good of our community. I was concerned, this even leaked, I noticed the folks from the Life Enrichment community had a speaker this last week. I hope you attended this. This was a speaker who came from a community called Fresh Energy. They are an interest group. They work with 200 utilities in Minnesota, or they work all over with utilities. They're a nonpartisan, nonprofit. They work with both Republicans and Democrats on energy issues. I found the presentation very interesting, very helpful. There was only one little slip of the political tongue that I think our presenter made, and I caught that. Maybe you didn't even pay attention to it, but it was rather interesting. But all in all, it was a great thing. So the key issue, what can we discuss? What can we talk about? You can only go for 2 minutes on how about them twins, if you can even do that.
That's divisive.
Yeah, that could very well be. All I'm saying is we've got to figure out, and the other side you have to remember, we have a big room over there that's open for any member to reserve when there's a slot open to host any kind of program they would like to. You want to host a program of religious content or political content, you can do that over in the social room. That belongs to all of the members. Nobody forces you to go there. And even the other night, nobody forced anybody to come to this presentation. It was very well done, a very interesting presentation. But that's, sometimes we deal in the board with such mundane just stuff that has to be done. But sometimes we deal with issues that affect all of us. We have to really think together about how we do good things. So just a taste of life as what we do on the board. I wanted you to know about that. So that's, if you've got other response, more than happy to have the board. Will listen and go from there. And we're glad to do that. All right. Follow up in newsletter. All right. Overview of upcoming board meeting on Wednesday. You notice I try to publish the what am I thinking? The agenda every month. I tell you, the older I get, I'm struggling to find words. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe some of you doing that. My wife tells me, yeah, she'll be dealing with me lately, so. But I think that's one of my maladies. So take a peek at that agenda. That follows our pretty typical normal agenda. We do all kinds of stuff that has to be done legally. Formally, we get reports. But the interesting thing I want to call to your attention is the very first topic. We're going to have the chair of RAC, Michelle and Kara, come from the RAC staff to talk about they've been working really hard at putting together some ideas about a gateway program for the community. When our members attended the co-op conference here this summer, one of the things they heard from smaller co-ops or newer co-ops is they've had programs that are designed to help new members gracefully enter into and be orientated by a one-on-one relationship to the life of the community. We've really not paid that close of attention to that. And the board has talked about that. We think this is a good idea. And this is an example of how a committee will sit down together and start to say, what could enhance the life of this community, especially for new people who are coming into it. So we're going to talk about this, and they're going to make a presentation about this. I lift that up to you and to your committees to say, this is going to cost very little. It takes some energy. It takes competent people to organize it. But that's pretty typical of most everything we do here. So it's an example to all of you about how we can lift up the life of this community and be better organized. So that's just, they're going to come and talk to us right away. And when we have folks from the outside come like that, I usually try to do it right at the first, because otherwise trying to fit them in down the road, you never know where we're going to be. If we're going to be there till 11 or till 1:30. Let's hope it's the former, not the latter, all right? All right, so we'll hear all the other stuff that goes on, the manager's report. We'll do the legal work that has to be done. We'll look at the minutes of the last two meetings that we held. We'll get a report from the treasurer. And the finance committee, Bob's group, is going to meet tomorrow morning. They're always the last committee of the group to meet, simply because they get the financials so late. And just something that will go along with that finance committee, just so you should be aware of. One of the things that we've been frustrated with as the board the last years is when we come to get to the budget presentation for the next year. And we start, and it's usually gears up towards the October and November meeting, and everybody's working like mad, and the administration is working really hard, and it gets so compressed that we don't really think we spend enough time looking at that. Well, we do enough, but we don't have enough time to just chew on it and to talk about it very well. So one of the things that the board approved this year, and I really appreciate this, is we've got a small task force of the chair of the finance committee, Bob, chair of the property committee, George, the treasurer, Dave, and two of our board members, Linda and Roger, who are working with Mitch to sit down once a month now and just walk through and listen with him and talk with him and to get his thinking, get the nuances. how we're structuring and working on a budget. So I just want to tell those five people how important, I mean, that's really an important task. And I want you to know that they're going to look at it really hard because we're going to have some really difficult decisions to make as we start to move to the second half of the calendar year and the fiscal year, which is the same thing. So just be aware of that as well. All right. There's also, I appreciated the Life Enrichment people who said they're going to put a program on here down the road by the K-9 unit of the Edina Police Force. But they thought that maybe before they bring the K-9 dog in, they should check with the board to see if we violate the pet policy. I thought that was, I appreciated that. I love that. They're thinking ahead. They're thinking ahead. Now that's, it probably won't, I won't say how we're going to do it, but we're going to talk about that. It's not, that's not a pet, of course. That's an officer of the law, you know. So that will be interesting. So just watch that. So, I mean, that's some of the stuff we get to deal with. It's very interesting. Okay. You heard Mitch, and I missed, we were gone when Mitch did the managers meeting, but I can imagine how many of the complicated issues that the property committee and he and Michael are working on. I want to just say thank you to our property committee. Those folks work so hard. They've got the toughest job in the place, and they've been working so well, and I appreciate all the good work they do. So we're continuing to monitor, and I learn every time I sit down. I learn all kinds of stuff, and I hope that you will too. And if you've got questions, be sure to ask Michael or Mitch. Visit with George, visit with me. We'll try to answer them as best we can. But just a kudos to those folks on the property committee. Then to think about the subcommittee of the Resident Services, Health and Wellness, which is the VAN subcommittee. One of the things that has happened, happens all the time, we had some members say, is there a possibility to use the VAN to just explore a little bit about pushing the limits of our zone that our van goes to? It goes, if I'm not mistaken, it kind of goes up to the crosstown, sometimes a little ways on the other side of 494, about all the way, to, what's the avenue in Richfield over here? No, not quite that far. Do we? Do we go that far? To Penn, probably? So but here's what happened. Some folks wanted to do something very specific up in the area up by the malt shop, by Snuffy's here at Edina. But what happened is that with our staff and with that van subcommittee, they started to think, how do we take a request like that and expand to meet all kinds of interesting things? And they're looking at a number of things that they will present to the board in the next, I don't think they'll be ready this month, but next month, of how to expand our footprint and use it for more than just one specific purpose. So I want to appreciate this group for good thinking and working with staff, working with our driver, as well as Jake, to put together a plan for us. They've been working real hard on that, and I just want to give a shout out to both the Resident Health and Wellness Committee and the VAN Subcommittee. Where is the chief? She's back there somewhere, isn't she? There she is, back there. Good work, you guys. I appreciate it very much. Nicely done. All right, what else do I got? This last year, we extended our contract with Morrison Food Service to go for 2 more years, to give us some time to think about where we're heading and where we're going. We've hired, the board has, with a very nominal cost, a consultant who's working with the board, not as an antagonist to Morrison, but someone who can help coach the board and help us think better together. Don Hutchison and Roger Johnson and I have been working with that, and Don's going to just give you a little update about where we are, what we're doing with that community. So Don, it's up to you here. There you go.
Isn't Rich doing a great job? Let's give him a hand. And Rich, I've got an idea about testing your locked door advice. I'm going to send something out maybe to everybody, and we'll just pick a time and a date, and everybody will go to Rich's and Julie's apartment and see if the door's locked. And if it's not, we'll pack the apartment. Be warned. Yeah. So as Rich was saying at our monthly board meetings, you can see we pack a lot of stuff in, and it's all important in one way or another. What we don't have time to do is really sit down and deep dive into any one topic. It's just not what the board meetings are designed to do. And last September, I think it was September 11th, the board did an all-day retreat. We went over to the Ebenezer corporate offices on the other side of Highway 100, and we spent the entire day talking about a number of issues. The one issue that really came up and we spent a lot of time and energy on was our food service, our York room, and everything that goes with it. And especially for those who have been here for some time, you'll know that not too long ago, things weren't going all that well with our food service. The food wasn't as good as it is today. Things just weren't going well. The York room attendance and numbers were reflecting that. So we hired Victor Jones Consulting. Again, as Rich said, this is a local fellow who has local and national experience over many decades in the food and restaurant industry. Just as a footnote or an item of interest, when the Rainforest Cafe was started up over at the Mall of America, he was integrally involved in putting that together. So this is a guy who's been around the block. He knows his stuff. So earlier this month, Victor met with the board and the chair and co-chair of our food service committee, Alice and Carrie. We had a full day discussion. We covered a lot of ideas. We talked about some concerns. We brainstormed. And together we reached a strong consensus. Many will be happy to know that we agreed that we want to have and maintain a high quality, attractive dining program here at 7500. There was no question about that whatsoever. We further agreed we want to find out if there are ways to increase or further increase member participation. In other words, to have more people enjoying more meals in the York room, and perhaps even invite some outside people. So, for example, people who are on the wait list. It's not a decision, but that's an idea that was thrown out there. And we agreed that we want to at least break even financially after our $115 a member monthly subsidy. We want to make sure that we're at least breaking even. What we'd really like to see, though, is to operate profitably. We'll be talking about all of this at the board meeting on Wednesday, and I think what we will end up doing is adopting some very concrete, measurable, time-specific goals to support the consensus that I just described, and we'll be figuring out next steps regarding those goals.
Questions for Don? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Nicely done. So we've got a little less than 24 months to be prepared for the next negotiation with Morrison. And what this has done is given us a sense of where we're going to go. And I tell you something. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought we were going to get there. And we've really, Morrison has turned their act around, brought us really good people, brought us management that listens to us, brought us local folks, and we're feeling good about that. We're as good as the people we get, of course, and but appreciate your willingness to participate and enjoy the meals like everybody else has so long. So thank you, Don. We'll do that. So it's about just about time to quit. Let's wrap up. Anybody questions or comments? Comments are more than we're glad to have. We'll hear them. And here's one right here, Don. Right on Dave's got it.
Well, I was excited to hear that there were people working on the North Plaza this week. So
Yes, we were too.
I watched, and what they did is jackhammer out most of the cement that they had put in a few months ago. So I thought that was curious.
Well, if you make a mess and you do it wrong, you fix it. So that's what they were doing. They were fixing the slopes. The city made us put slopes coming out of and they're hard to pour, and a couple of them were cracking, so we made them tear them up and put them back. So we're still hoping, as I understand, middle of September, getting all that stuff down. We're looking pretty good. So we got to get some heat now and some good weather. Yep. Questions or comments? There's one. Gary.
Relative to that Morrison food that we use, and you had that, went over to Ebenezer's for that one-day seminar or consulting. Does Ebenezer, who has a lot of relationships with other co-ops and other companies, do they have any other food providers that may be of some value to 7,500?
Most co-ops, almost all co-ops they manage do not have food service programs. It is, and you know why? Because it's a loser economically. That's why. That's why we subsidize $500,000 to sit down to eat. So no, but they do have food service people who work in their assisted living and their nursing homes. So they do have some folks who do that kind of stuff. So we've talked to them on and off. But it's just interesting. Almost all cooperatives do not have food service stuff. So they don't do a big deal of that. But it's a good question, Gary. I appreciate that. It is. You got to wonder, if we did it all over again, would we do this again? Because that becomes a real drain on the budget, any food service, because we subsidize the heck out of it. You all know that. You're paying a lot of money to subsidize that restaurant. Thankfully, the food's gotten better, and we like what's going on there, so that's a good thing. Roger. Yeah, he might. You got a question?
Not a question, just a comment that the specialty dinners, like the gardeners, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, all those specialty dinners have attracted, I think, a lot of people.
I want to say thank you to the food service committee. They're thinking about, we got to think of ways to market the place, right? So way to go, you guys. That's just excellent work. People are starting to think. We got to find ways, and we're talking about some really interesting things that will come up, but we got to find ways to market the thing. Roger?
I just think it's worth mentioning that our general manager, Mitch, has done a great job also working with Morrison and improving things in the York Room, and I just want to make sure we mention that
Yes,
to
we do.
membership.
We do. Yes. He's led the negotiations and done a great job. Yep.
Is there any possibility of the store being restored?
Probably not in that form like it was. When you can order from the internet and have it here in an hour, we can't compete. We were barely making it even on the product, and we were going in the hole on the wages we were paying. So that was really a losing proposition. So don't hold your breath. We may find ways to do some small stuff, but we can't afford to run a grocery store anymore. Lunds Byerly's, who started it when Mrs. Byerly lived here, after she died, he said we couldn't make any money either. They pulled the plug years ago on it. Yep.
Hi, Rich. Thank you. Just a thought, thank you for telling us that there is a special task force that'll be working with Mitch on the budget. So as a member, I'm just wondering if the board would consider an idea. And that would be, what if you put out a questionnaire to the members asking us what ideas might we have that might save money for the co-op going forward, knowing that we've got some big expenses coming for repair.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and you just alluded to that earlier. And so, for consideration, I'm asking.
Think tank on savings. I like that. That's
Yeah,
not bad.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a question regarding when the North Court will be finished. Once they remove all the sheds and construction equipment, there's going to be a lot of damage to the grounds. Who is responsible for bringing the grounds back?
Okay, help me out here. Who's responsible?
It'll be the same company.
It's in the contract to clean it up.
Restore everything.
Yeah, it's in there. So money's in there to do it. The company will have people do it.
Regarding the restaurant, when we tour prospective new people, that's a big plus.
That's interesting. People enjoy it.
Yes, so,
People think.
yeah, so I think we need to keep it.
Now, just remember, here's what the behavioral economists will say. Don't listen to what people tell you. Watch what they do. So that's the interesting thing. You can tell me, I tell my wife I'm going to reform all the time, but she's got to watch what I do, right? So the same way, but yes, I hear that. And by the way, thanks to that crew who goes around and gives the tours. They do a great job, and they just do a superb job for our community. Yep.
We don't get $9.90 because we got a new TV box from Xfinity, and it doesn't work. And I assume there's many other people, especially new people, who also are in
There's a board member that's in the same boat.
situation.
Yeah.
So we need to correct that.
It's a complicated deal, and they're working on it. And in fact, it's going to be interesting to see. It's beyond my pay grade, let me tell you, but you're right. We've got to figure out what we're going to do, and that's a good question. Yeah.
We're renegotiating our contract.
Yes. But that's still going to be complicated. We've got old equipment, and they're running new stuff, and we're having this kind of stuff happen. But I appreciate it. You're right to ask. And our board member's in the same boat, so just know that's good to know. Yep. There's a question way in the back. Pat.
It's not a question, it's a statement. Don't ever lose Eric, our chef.
Well, Pat says don't ever lose Eric. You know, the problem with that, Pat, is we don't know. I mean, we just don't know.
But we know he's happy here.
We know he's happy here. And we really I mean, that's the problem running the restaurant. We're captive to personnel who make it or break it for us. And he's terrific. So, by the way, keep telling him how much you appreciate him, And go down and eat. That's good. All right, we're going to close. We got three of our 4 grandsons going to college this week. Their parents are taking them all right now. I saw, how many of you read the Trib on Monday? You see Harvey McKay's column, Swimming with the Sharks in the business section. He has a piece entitled 7 Rules for Life and how to be fulfilled in life. And they're really interesting. I am going to take a risk and send it to the boys. It's pretty interesting. So I got to thinking about, are there some ways that we can think about for seniors, not just young people? I keep reading a lot of depressing stuff, but I wanted to share with you some of the positive stuff from a woman who's 101 years old and who has said, these are the things that have helped her as she's gone through a number of life changes and in her career at 101. 8 lessons from a 101-year-old woman. Number 1, don't ever believe you're done. Don't ever believe you're done. Number 2, talk to friends of all ages. Get your world bigger. Number 3, let little things make your day and enjoy them and celebrate the little good things that happen in life. Number 4, Have the courage to be authentic. Have the courage to be authentic. Number 5, do the things you love. Number 6, move your body, rest your mind. Now, I looked at that and I said, well, that's from a 101-year-old woman, but some folks can't move their bodies really well. But I found that's very interesting. Move your body, rest your mind. Number 7, don't get stuck in negativity. You know people who are stuck there. Miserable life. And number 8, do what you need, to do. Get it done. Don't put it off. 101. She's ready, Pretty interesting. Thanks for coming. See you next time.